Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Lunch for the Soul. Oh, we are going to be talking about something today that affects so many people, and that is COVID and how it can linger not only for days or weeks, but months and even years. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek of our amazing guests today. Here they all are. Hello, everybody. I'm so happy you're here. We're going to start with you, Ratsi, to talk about what in the world happened to you and when you were first diagnosed. You were one of the first ones to be diagnosed in Houston way back in
I
2020.
well, it wasn't the first, but it was in the beginning, the first
Yeah.
wave. So it was still scary. Everyone was hospitalized, everyone that was very sick, and we were thinking we were dodging it. And it was around Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's, everyone was getting together, everyone was celebrating, everyone thought we were safe, and sure enough, I got it. Everyone in my house got COVID at the same time, and I just happened to get it the worst.
The biggest thing we want people to know is we've learned that COVID is going to be around, but unfortunately, long COVID is too. And up to 30% of people who perhaps they never even had a symptom, they were asymptomatic, or they even had mild symptoms. Up to 30% of people are having lingering symptoms months and years afterwards. What happened for you for a year after that diagnosis?
I was still having shortness of breath. I was still having brain fog, cognitive issues. One of the main things that is still lingering today is my brain fog, and then also insomnia. I'm having certain pain issues in my feet and my legs that have been lingering since I left the hospital.
How frustrating is that to have something like that go on and have to live your life, but then try to describe to people around you? And if they don't have it, make them understand what you're going through.
It's difficult. It's something that you try not even to talk about because it's so I don't want to say embarrassing, but it's almost like everyone they got it and they moved on and they think that life just continues and it's just everywhere now and it's just part of our day-to-day life. But some people that got it like me and that were hospitalized and had a harder time fighting, I still am dealing with it. And I just hate to say, oh, yes, I still am dealing with COVID, but it's the truth. It's still reality. It is still there. It's still in my life every night when I try to go to sleep. And it's just an everyday part of my life still.
I'm going to bring in Rohan for a moment because I know he knows what you are talking about right now. We talked about you being one of the first in the first wave of it. Rohan was actually one of the very first people to be diagnosed. We're talking March, that
Yeah.
spring break when we just started hearing that it was coming into the States and everything started shutting down. Do you feel those same things and have some of those same symptoms, or does yours look different, Rohan?
Oh, definitely. I still have shortness of breath and brain fog sometimes, as she mentioned. But I try to make the best of it. I mean, there are some medications that people usually take in their 60s or 70s that I'm having to take now. But
Yeah.
that is the new normal for me. I have to live with it uh, and follow doctor's instructions as they keep telling. But I have to keep myself healthy, uh,
Yeah.
take care of my diet and everything. So yeah, these are the things that I do.
How important is it for you all to have a support system and to be able to talk to each other like you are right now to say, I'm not alone in this? Does that mean a lot to you?
Definitely, it does. And actually, when I came home from the hospital after 4.5 months, I was pleasantly surprised to see the messages from people, and I heard stories from my wife, my brother-in-law about how people helped her when she was alone dealing with three kids.
Hmm.
Houston community, I must thank them from the bottom of my heart, the way they stood up behind my family and me, of course. Uh,
Absolutely. I
Thank
mean,
you.
the kindness of people it has restored our faith in humanity. There was not a single day when we went without food, without having just house supplies. Everything was at my doorstep every single day.
And Rotzi, when you hear this, does it make you feel better just knowing? I mean, it certainly doesn't help your situation, but just hearing that somebody else is going through something similar.
It does. It's not like it's not in our face. It's everywhere. It's on the news. It's in the newspaper. It's in the you open your email and it's COVID, COVID, COVID. So you know it's still around. You know it's still true. But it's the long haulers. Those are the ones that are still almost hidden or shy about talking about it because it's still like, okay, get over it. You've already had it for a while. Like you're still dealing with it. And it is nice to hear from other people that are still struggling or still dealing with it on a day-to-day basis. We're not alone. We still are dealing with it, and hopefully one day we will get better.
How did faith come into this for you and help you heal?
If it wasn't for my church, the day that I was going to be intubated, the doctors came and said, you're going to be intubated at 6 p.m. If your numbers do not get better. And I called my daughter and I was scared. You're all alone. You have no one there in the hospital. And I called my daughter and she said, okay, she did a Facebook page. She contacted our church and they began a prayer page on Facebook. And there were hundreds and hundreds, even maybe thousands of people that were praying for me. And when he came back to my room at 6 p.m., he said, your numbers have improved slightly, so we're going to wait on intubating you. And that was everything to me, just knowing that people were praying and believing that I was going to get better. It was amazing. And if it wasn't for my church family.
At what point did you realize that you weren't just tired, that you weren't just exhausted? You actually joined a study, right? And that helped lead you to some of those answers?
Yes. When I left the hospital, I began a journey of eating right and losing weight and getting healthy. And I've lost 50 pounds on my journey.
Wow.
And that's when I noticed that I thought, okay, I'm losing weight. I'm eating right. My sugar, my blood pressure, all of the numbers are right, but I'm still not feeling the way I'm supposed to feel. So that's whenever I started saying, okay, something is still not right. I'm still having shortness of breath when I talk. That was the main thing that they kept saying, when you're talking, you still have to have that deep breath to go through your conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't think about it until you're actually talking. And then you stop and say, oh, I do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's whenever I started noticing. And then the study really started putting things in perspective when they started telling me, what are your symptoms? Well, I didn't know what my symptoms are because you just go about life and you don't realize that the insomnia is part of it. You don't realize that the brain fog that you're dealing with, that I can't remember where I'm going or what I'm doing, that is part of it. Those little things.
And this study was through UT Health in Houston?
Yes, it was through UT Health, and I'm still part of it. And that's what really they were monitoring me every 3 months, checking my levels and checking how I'm doing. They were doing cognitive tests, and it really showed me and gave me the support that I needed to really feel like, okay, this is something that I'm still dealing with.
And they have a COVID clinic through UT Health. Have you sought help there to see if there's anything that they can do to help you work through some of those symptoms?
I'm just now starting to really think about this as a serious, I thought it was just something that eventually go away or that I will get better. But now that I'm having more and more brain fog and more, I guess, issues with just memory and just thinking like, where am I? What am I doing? That's where I'm starting to realize like, okay, I might need some help.
I'm going to bring Rohan and his wife back in, and then we will let you go. I just want to make sure that I tell you all something about a story that I worked on this week. It just might be worth you looking into. You already know, and both of you know for a fact you have long COVID because you're already seeing a doctor, but there is a new blood test, and you actually go online to find out about it. It's called covidlonghaulers.com. This is for anybody out there. I want to make sure you know. This is the next part of it, though. So it's covered by most health insurance. They come to your home, they draw your blood, But it's not just a test to say yes or no, your problems are long COVID. It comes with, this is where your levels are high. This is the medication you need to take to lower that. This will get that inflammation out of your blood vessels. So they found, they're pretty sure long COVID is caused because of those silly little COVID spikes get in your blood vessels and cause major damage. Now they're learning there's an HIV drug that's been FDA approved for years, and also a statin that's used for cardiovascular disease that they're using for long haulers, and it is reversing their disease. It's remarkable what I'm seeing in this new study. So I always say, be your own advocate, talk to your own doctor. But this company works with your own doctor to say, hey, these are the medicines we suggest. This is what you should prescribe to them. So it's all this partnership with this company and your own doctor. So again, just something to look into if you continue to have those symptoms. You never know if it might be able to help you out. I feel like we're all a community and can help each other out in many ways. Thank you for sharing your story, Ratsi, and for just being such a strong woman to be able to share your faith with us and what you've been through, and only good health from you from now on.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
good to talk to you. And then I want to talk about this book, Cheating COVID. We had some hard work going on here. Tell you, we got it on both ends. So thank you for sending it to me, first of all. I have been delving into it and getting a true sense of what it's all about. First of all, let's talk about how it came about in the first place.
So actually, initially we were not too keen on writing a book, but a lot of people, they told me that my story was unique in the way that we had our ups and downs. So I was on the ventilator for almost 3 months, and then ICU for 2 months, on ECMO for 6 weeks, and dialysis for almost 2 months. So having come out of that and dealing with the long haul effects of COVID, a lot of people suggested to us that you must put it on paper. And me, as well as Manasi especially, because she lived through my illness at that time, being the primary caregiver, taking care of 3 kids single-handedly at home. And then, going through the tough phases where I had 2 cardiac arrests, actually getting CPR twice, and initially getting the experimental plasma, being airlifted from one hospital to another, when my chances of survival were, a fraction of a percent, maybe 0.1% or something, still being able to make it. All these things needed to be put in front of the people. That's how this book came out to be. And it was just amazing how the people have supported us. We were blessed to find amazing doctors in the first place. Our first page of the book, we are dedicating this book to the amazing doctors and healthcare providers. And it's not only a message for COVID survivors.
Mm-hmm.
For anyone who has dealt with a life-threatening disease, it could be cancer or Alzheimer's or anything, or cardiovascular disease. It's a message of positivity for them. I still deal with the effects of COVID, there's no doubt. But I try to make the next day better than yesterday. My aim, and that's what I would advise people.
We have found a new normal. It's a story of hope. It's a story of faith. So we just came to a point where we knew that it's not going to be normal, but let's find a new normal. Yes, we are blessed to have Rohan with us. So we want to tell people that, the road will be bumpy, it is long, but don't lose hope. Don't give up on life. Even if there is 1% chance, it is still a chance. It is better than zero. And you take that chance and you move forward.
And as we look at these photos, we know that this was such a hard time for your family. My goodness, one life-threatening moment after another, but we still see that smile on your face. Is that where the faith came in, that you just felt like no matter what, that everything would somehow be okay?
It was actually the first time I could see Rohan physically in the hospital. So I could not see him for a month and a half. He got admitted on March 24th. That was the day, that was May 13th. I was allowed to go in the hospital finally with, lot of requests, because they were not allowing visitors. It was
Yeah.
risky for everyone. So that is where the smile came from, because at least I could see him physically. And then the doctors had warned me that, your husband is going to look very different than how he used to look, because Rohan had lost about 50 pounds there.
Oh my
So
goodness.
they really prepared me, like, be mentally prepared. So one thing I remembered, that when he opens his eyes, I want to be smiling. I don't want to show that fear on my face. I don't
Mhm.
want him to even know what he went through. So all the time, whenever he looked at me, I made sure that I smiled, because that's what was going to give him the strength to fight back.
Tell me about this moment.
Oh,
Superman.
the best day of our life when Rohan came home. So these are my three kids, and the one in the middle is Sia. That's my niece from Austin. They drove down to Houston to welcome Rohan, and the kids were super excited. So they made all these posters. You are a Superman. Welcome home. We love. Yeah, one of the best days of our lives for sure. That was July 26, 2020.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I know it had to feel so amazing. And when you talk about this book and how it can help people really with any stage in life that they're going through, no matter what the hard problem is, like you said, like cancer or another medical crisis, how can they find this book?
Well, it's available on Amazon for anyone. It's also available on
Everybody again.
our publisher's website.
Yes, it's available on Global Collective Publishers. That's our publisher in US. So you
Mhm.
can get it on Amazon, or you can get it directly from the website. And
Mhm.
I can send you the details so that we can put it up for the viewers as well.
What a blessing, too, that you all were here in the greater Houston area where you had the best medical care available. That has to be a big relief to be on the other side of it, too, knowing they had one thing after another when nobody knew how to treat it to keep you alive.
Definitely, definitely. I give kudos to the doctors in the Texas Medical Center.
Yes.
When you talk to them, in general, I can see, how passionate they are about their job. All doctors are, but the doctors in Texas Medical Center, I
The
cannot,
nurses
the
as well,
nurses as well,
everyone.
all the healthcare providers there,
Mhm.
kudos to them, really.
They were God sent. I mean, the passion that they worked with. I mean, we kept asking them. So Rohan and I went back to the hospital where he was treated, because I wanted them to see him. And
Mhm.
they were actually in tears, because they said we hardly see people coming back to meet us. So
Uh,
these were the doctors that were there on the floor that day when Rohan had two cardiac arrests. The first lasted for 2 minutes, the second one lasted for 12 minutes. And
mm.
we really kept asking them, like, what kept you going? What made you think that he could still come back? And they were literally in tears. They showed us the room where Rohan was, and they explained what happened that day. And they are just, I mean, to us, we are forever grateful to them. They
They,
were God sent.
they told me that if you had come here on a wheelchair, it
Yeah.
would have been the best day of our lives. Just to see you walking to our office, they said that we are over the moon.
Wow, that is so amazing. What a beautiful story you have to share to be on the other side, but long COVID still plagues you a little bit today.
It does. It does. I still have lung issues. I still have heart issues. As I said, I have
Mhm.
medication which there was no way a 40-year-old needed to take for the
Mhm.
heart. But that's what the new normal is, as she said. I have to focus on getting uh, better day by day, and these medications do help me. And we always try to look for options that will make.
Mhm. Well, and I certainly hope that just as time goes on, that we figure out more and more ways to treat this so that you can just get over it like that. That's absolutely the dream for anybody dealing with it. Well, you're a blessing. Thank you so much for joining me today, for sharing your story. And as I said earlier, only good health from you from now on.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
the opportunity to talk about our book. And we just want people to know that there is hope. Please, please
Mhm.
don't lose hope. And please do read our story and our experience.
All right. Well, bless you both. Thank you for sharing your faith, your family, and this book. I know it's going to help a lot of people.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care of you.
You too.
Thank you.
And thank you all for being here. I want to make sure you know, if you happen to have joined us late today here on Lunch for the Soul, it's okay. You can just check out our YouTube page. Just head on over and look up Fox 26 Houston Lunch for the Soul. You can catch it in its entirety, as well as many other Lunch for the Souls. It's a faith-based time just to bring our faith, our hearts, our souls, our minds together and share that we can overcome a lot when we have that faith of a mustard seed. We can move and push mountains, baby. So let's keep doing it. If you happen to have a story or a situation that you've lived through that you'd like to share with me, reach out. You can find me through email, melissa.wilson@fox.com. I hope you have a beautiful day. Thanks for being here.